Hi and welcome. I am Samiel Carolina, your guide through the glowing woman path, and also your host for the courageous conversations. And I am here in this space sharing with you the magic of Monica Pelayo. She is my dear friend, sister, and guest here in Madrid, where we both are right now. So,
Mhm.
welcome, Monica, here, and thank you for joining us.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the space and for inviting me. I'm truly honored.
Thank you. Um, I met Monica last year in the Awaken Women Conference in Bali, and she got my attention because I am a huge fan of women who speak things as they are, real, raw, authentic, funny, not taking this stuff that we're going um, to speak about so seriously and deep, but light at the same time and joyful. So I think what attracted most to me, Monica, is your ability to see beauty behind behind these journeys and these transformations, sometimes that there is chaos and pain and confusion, and how you bring that message of beauty and hope and and joy for life, this human life. um, so I wanted to share with you um, an exploration about your big topic of work. And so let me briefly introduce Monica. She is shadow expert. She has been personally trained by Debbie Ford, and she's a life coach as well, integrative life coach. But I'm really curious, Monica, to share with our audience what is shadow work, and and how did you get there to be expert in this specific field?
Oh, well, wow, that's a lot, but that's awesome. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. Um, well, the shadow. I can't talk about shadow work. Somebody copyrighted the word shadow
No.
work,
Mhm.
so I think they have something else. I wouldn't know what they refer to it, but the work of the shadow. Let's
The
call it
work of the shadow. Okay.
work of the shadow, or what the shadow is, or where I work is those parts of us that we in a way deny or reject, or we'd rather not have, those parts that are like, ew, gross, I don't want to talk about it, or
Mm.
I don't have it, or I hate it in other people, but it is part of our humanity. And I work with that part because it's the part that behind it, when it's heard and when it's looked at it for what it is, there's the gift behind it.
Mm.
And the fact that it feels so bad and so shameful, or like sometimes it feels like a sabotager, sometimes it feels like there's something wrong with us, it's because those gifts are in the shadow and they're asking to be put in the light. That's a part of you saying, this is not fair, you have to listen to me. And instead of us paying attention to that voice or to that aspect or to that feeling, we go through life asking others to hear us out on that area, like, this is not fair, you have to hear me, why are people treating me this way? But it's because we're doing that with an aspect of ourselves that we really deny, or just are grossed out about it. I don't know how you want to express it, but it's just a part of you that you rather not be or not have. I
Mm.
work with those aspects. And you asked, how did I get here?
Yes.
Because I think, I'm such an expert on, like, since I was a kid, screwing up because I was like so loud, or so quiet. Like, I was extreme on everything, so I always felt like there was something wrong with me constantly. And the world showed me that there's something wrong with me.
Mm.
And I kind of grew up wanting, because we, as humans, as part of our humanity, we want to belong. We want to belong. But we do the opposite to belong. Really, we try to act like not ourselves to belong, which
to
is
fit in to.
so really you're belonging, but it's not you that's belonging. It's kind of like the fake you belonging, right? So like we kind of have it a little backwards. And I think the best way to belong and to be, you know, kind of pull into the same, let's call it energy. I don't want to get too woo-woo, but you know, the kind of the same feeling is when you get to really honor those aspects of yourself. And you know what got me there, it's, you know, when I was younger, you know, I was about 18 or 19, and I think it got so bad, you know, to the point where, you know, I didn't want to live. I tried to commit suicide twice. And you know, I felt, you know, I had addiction with food, and you know, not so much with drugs, because I felt like, you know, drugs made me feel scared and panicky, but if not, I would have taken that on too, you know, because I'm so extreme. And this work became kind of my addiction a little bit. You know, I started being a student of A Course in Miracles. That's how I started. And I've been a student of Course since then for about, you know, 21 years. And then, you know, I started doing, I was very attracted to the work of Debbie Ford, that she did this shadow work. And I was able to recognize that, you know, to really live a fulfilling life and to really love, like truly love others and ourselves, we truly need to love completely, like not half, like, oh, I love myself when I'm pretty, when I feel good, when it's
When I'm
awesome,
thin, yeah.
when I'm
When I'm
thin.
menstruating.
Yes, when I woke up and had that
Yeah.
juice, I'm so proud of myself. You know what I mean? So I was just, you know, and we talk a lot about this, you know, about loving ourselves, but nobody says, you know, I kind of do it half-ass, right? You know, oh, can I say better? Sorry. So
You can.
I guess. And so like, I didn't want to do it that way. I knew there was something in me that felt like it was kind of fake when I said, you know, I love myself, or I love some, you know, and what I understood is that there were so many aspects of myself that I didn't love because, first of all, I didn't know, and they were kept in the shadow. And I I learned that when I felt bad or uncomfortable or shameful or angry or all these aspects were aspects, beautiful aspects of myself calling in. And it was the only way to get my attention. So I was able to really use that for my business that I started, you know, 13 years ago as a coach. In those time, you know, believe it or not, there was not online stuff. You know, it's like people went to your office and we did it like that. But one of the things that I discovered was that when things didn't work out in my business, or you know, I did the things that I needed to do, but suddenly kind of it went down. Right now, you guys would call it, you know, we would call it now a discovery call. Like you had less discovery calls, you had less, you know. So I knew there was something going on, that it was, I hit a certain amount of people and then I kind of like stopped. It was like a little, and I felt like it was
Stagnant.
a sabotaging thing. And I was like, what changed? You know, I did this, what is going on? I was able to find that when that was happening, there was a part of me saying, I will not let you move forward until you don't have the whole truth, because you're at service to people and you can't be at service to like half of them, or you know, like half of a person, right? Like you need to find the whole, and you need to discover your medicine that you're giving. You need to discover within yourself. So that's how I was able to like really get involved, and that's how people started calling me the shadow expert. Of course I didn't want to be called that, right? You know, I was like, can I just be the something else? But, you know, because people hear the shadow and they're like, ooh, it's like the queen of the shadows, right? Would walk in. And so that wasn't something that I really wanted to be called, but I was able to embrace that as well. I was able to embrace that and really owning and loving it so much that I'm okay now that if people call me, you know, now I'm the shadow expert. Right.
Yeah, it's beautiful what you're saying. About embracing both, you know, the gifts through, you know, and your own power, and how that brings you to, you know, to kind of deeper alignment, right, and integrity, and self-responsibility, and why not compassion too, right? As we can see in ourselves, the ugly, the messy, the not knowing, we can see and understand those parts in others, right? So this has a huge impact in our relationships.
It is, and really, the shadow is a gift, our own gift that was put in the shadow somehow.
Yeah.
But when you put a light on it, people think it's like, oh, it's because it's hard to confront it. Well, it's hard to confront it because we've been like rejecting it so much. But when you do, you realize how compassionate it is, and how it needed to use force, to make you feel so uncomfortable, so you could like change your path.
Yeah, what I realize, and you can correct me on this, but on my own path exploring these the light and the shadow, I found that some shadows are kind of born, if you want, in things about myself that I don't like, and some others are rooted into gifts that I learned to suppress because they were not appropriate, too strong, no, as you said, like too smart or too loud or too something. And as little girls, we have been said, or too thin or too fat or too beautiful or less beautiful, whatever. But we have learned to see ourselves through the eyes of others, and so it's like, oh, maybe this I park it, in the basement. It goes into the shadow, but actually, it's not that we have consciously choose that, right?
Yeah, well, it's because we put it a bad name. So not only you hit it. So, for example, can I use the example of your intuition? Can I
Yeah.
So, for example, you're very intuitive, and you've been intuitive since you were a child. So, at the beginning, it's like, wow, look at what she can do. But then later on, it's like, ooh, that might be of the devil, right? Or like, ooh, she's starting to get really weird. Oh, so now it wasn't like her gift of, the psychic or the medium or whatever. Now it was the crazy, right? Or it was the woohoo, or it was the hippie, or it was the whatever in those times, it was an offense. Except because for some people it's not offensive, but it was, you could use that. And, or if you were beautiful, right? You were a model as well. So it's like, we hear people tell children, and when we were younger, I'm sure you had that experience when adults came and said, oh, you're so beautiful, and you're like, thanks. You didn't have anything to do with it, but it's like, you're so beautiful, and you're like, oh, thanks. Oh, she's so beautiful. Oh, thanks. And then somebody would come and say, hey, you're so big now, or this, and then you're like, yeah, and I'm so beautiful. Right? Because it excited people. It was fun for people. It was, you felt loved, and you felt you were receiving love. So you didn't think that was a bad thing. But then you said like, yeah, I'm beautiful. And somebody's like, ooh, that's
over the top.
Conceited. That's conceited. Or that's vain. Or that, so whatever name we gave it, or somebody gave it, or we heard somebody say like, ooh, she thinks she's so beautiful. I can't believe she thinks that. And you're like, ooh, thinking you're beautiful is not a good thing. It is not good, girl. So like, let's don't talk about it. Let's just have it be there, not talk about it.
Pretend not to be.
And pretend not to be, and hate it when somebody else is beautiful because they're vain. And now we're projecting our shadow. We're projecting our gift to somebody, and we made it ugly, because that's what, we keep doing. Right?
Yeah, and I want to tap into that because I noticed you shared that before. Yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you for that example with my intuition. But I truly understood to embrace my intuition and my knowing recently. Actually, this is the layers and layers to get to the shadow, really, and to the light. Yeah. But coming back to what you were saying, in my world, in my work, and those women listening to this, having worked with me, we always speak about the mirror effect, right? The shadow is at the back of, in the basement or in the subconscious somewhere, and life make us the favor to mirror back to us those shadows who are ready for us to embrace or to heal if it needs healing, right? So we will be triggered, right? That's the mirror effect. We will see in others what we have within ourselves. And you are using this word projection. I use the metaphor of the mirror. I see in others what I have in me. Otherwise, I will never see it, and
What
I
you
will not be
recognize.
triggered. That's the thing, because
It's what you recognize.
But
It's what you recognize, really. And it can happen in so many ways, you know, like I can tell you, if we have time, I can tell you a few different ways that we can see it. For example, you know, I remember when I was younger, you know, a friend of mine would be like, oh my God, that guy is so stoned. And I'm like, really? How do you know? And she's like, look, his eyes are like that, and he's talking this way, and he's doing this or whatever. And I'm like, what? You know, I look at her, I'm like, how do you know that? You know, it's like, so she's like, yeah, I smoke pot. I'm like, oh, then why are you, it's such a judgment thing if you've done it, right? And she's like, no, it's not, it wasn't good. It was stupid and whatever. So you could tell she had shame on it. Right. So first of all, you recognize it because of that, you know, like if you've done it, you recognize, you know how they say, you know, it takes one to know one, right? You know, but then this is, you know, and this we could call it like the dark shadow, right? You know, like, oh, he's such an asshole and whatever, you know, and it's like, we know that, right? Why do we know that?
Yeah.
How do we recognize it, right? It's because, you know, here. And there are also light shadows where you project because you don't own that either. For example, you know, when I was younger, I remember seeing, you know, when I started this whole thing, I started because, you know, I told you, like, I tried to commit suicide and whatever. And then I, you know, went back to the States, and a friend of mine introduced me to Marianne Williamson and to the book Return to Love. And I remember it did so many wonderful things for me. And I thought, you know, if I could save one life the way she saved mine, you know, I think I've done what I think it's my mission, right? You know, like if I could express that, and that's how my path like truly started. But one of the things, then I met Debbie Ford, and you know, I started doing the work, you know, I was trained by her. And one of the things that she would say, because I would talk about, like, you know, I love the way Marianne speaks. I could never do that. I could never speak like that. I cannot intellectually articulate things. I always go on tangents. Always, my whole life, I've always gone on tangents. People have to tell me okay, so coming back to whatever. So I would like look at her and then look at Debbie, and I loved speakers. I loved them, and I was like, I admire people like that. And Debbie was like, you know, you're projecting that onto people. Yeah. It's just something that you haven't owned. And I'm like, I would never be able to speak like that. And I still feel that same way. But I do get to speak now my own way, my own embrace shadow way. And I talk about this all the time, you know, with my sisters when they interview me, because they tell me, like, tell me one of your shadows, right? You know, they love the juicy stuff. I'm like, well, my shadow is that, you know, that when I was younger, when I wanted to explain something, I couldn't explain it the way I wanted it, right? And I was so excited, and I talked about this, and then I talked about that, and I over-explained it, and I went around it, and people were like, what? That doesn't even make sense. And I remember me feeling horrible, right? And then I got married, and my ex-husband would be, what are you talking about? Why are you're not even making sense. And, you know, in my family, and it was just kind of a thing that I felt people hated, you know, talking to me. And I hated it so much in myself, to the point that I didn't want to do this anymore. I was asked to speak in places I didn't want to do it. It was just such a shadow of mine. And I would hate when people didn't speak well. So I would project it. So it was just horrible, until the day I decided to embrace my tangents, my, you know, I felt like an idiot. So I embraced the idiot in me. I embraced the ignorant in me. I embraced all these things that I didn't want to see. And now, and this is what we talk, my friends and me, you know, we talk about it. They say that, I love your tangents, Monica. We get some beautiful wisdom. We get lost somewhere, and then we come back and we get like amazing wisdom. So thank you for embracing it. So that would be, you know, one of, you know, the toughest shadows in the industry right now, because I'm like, I don't know if I could ever do a TED talk, 20-minute not going on a tangent. I should just do 20 minutes of tangents. But embracing that like really helped my business. I do so many interviews now. I talk to people, I interview people, I speak in public, and that's where we got to meet each other. And 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 it was one of my biggest gifts. My tangents were my tangents were my biggest shame before.
Yeah. Beautiful.
That I felt I was wrong, that I was nothing, that I couldn't do this, and I had so much I wanted to say. So that is kind of my example within the business of what a shadow in the light can look like. And love it.
Yeah, I love it, because what I'm feeling as you speak is just a sense of deep liberation. You were saying, and I was feeling in my body, it's like, wow, I'm getting lighter and lighter if I can release. And there's something important that you say is this idea of embracing the shadow. I always talk about that as well in my work. Until we don't first recognize in ourselves and then accept that is within us and embrace it, and then here we go, with my magic word, we alchemize it.
Yes.
The light and the shadow becomes light and becomes our uniqueness, even, right? It's your unique theme or your unique way of speaking. It's a journey to, a beautiful journey, I find.
And it's a journey of accepting our humanity.
Yeah.
We talk about, you and me love this part, right?
Yeah, we love this part about what does it take to be whole and happy, and have tools for the roller coaster of this life on earth. And that was my next question. What would you say, or what can you leave as an advice or a easy practice, when we get stuck into this stagnant point, or when we feel like, oh, there is a part of me that is coming out and I don't know what to do with her? What is a practice that you?
Well, I think that in a general way to put it, it's learning how to dance with it. To dance with our humanity. And here comes teachings that you give, which are so beautiful, and everybody has a certain way, but you talk about this. And I think that the first step is like really, in order to dance with something, you need to be present to it. Because when we're not feeling comfortable, what our body does, it does this, right? And so it holds everything. So it just doesn't let neither the good or the bad, but it just kind of, and it does it for protection. I get it, right? Like it's a friction. So when you're feeling like this, the first step is really making a space, literally, to let it go through your body, like breathe it. It's just, there's anger. It's just like, okay, so I'm making a space for you. Some space, I'm making a space, and you talk about the body and all this stuff. So it's just, I think that's like the start, and really pay attention. And I think that after that, when you have received that, you've let it feel welcome and not thrown and pushed and whatever, just make it feel welcome, and notice that it's a part of you that is in pain, that wants to be heard. So I would suggest, you could even write a letter to it, dear anger, you came over to my house, you were in my body, and I hope, you felt comfortable enough. I just don't know how to handle it. I feel this, I'm afraid, and this and this and that. And then you channel what that part of you
wants to say.
Needs. Yeah. Like, what are you here to teach me? What is it? How can I put you in the light? How could I work? I do a whole process on it. It's a 2-hour process, but you don't even have to do that. You at least get started. And I think the hardest thing right now in our communities is this thing about, not wanting to be human. I mean, not really accepting that, but they don't want to be human, because there's this part of us that wants to be spiritual and wants to be happy and wants to be joyous, and feels that if you're not, there's something wrong with you. You're creating this, you're doing this. And in a way, that's true. But you are creating it not by thinking about it. You're creating it by not embracing it, but by not accepting it.
Yeah.
You are creating that stuff. It's not because you're having some positive affirmations, and it's because you're not doing enough positive affirmation. You're not doing enough courses. It's just because you're just not listening to a part of you and honoring your humanity. And I get, and I told you this, I get a lot of people tell me like, well, Monica, don't you know that we're spirits in a human body? And I'm like, yes, I absolutely get that we are spirits in this human body. I really, really get that. But there's a reason why we're in this human body. So let's check it out.
Yeah.
Let's check it out. Let's see, wow, this human thing feels sad sometimes. Let me check that out.
And it gets more complex when we get to know that it's not only the physical body, but also the emotional and the mental body. So it's like, oh, now I have several bodies instead of one body. It's like, oh, so what about my spirit and my soul?
But that's the journey, right? Of exploring and dancing it and receiving it and connecting, because our biggest connection in sisterhood, and I don't know if you agree with me, but the biggest connections in sisterhood is when you can be completely vulnerable and say, yes, I'm a manifester, and right now I'm not manifesting, and I feel like a fraud, or I'm a money expert, and right now I'm not making money. And to be vulnerable, and the other girl reminding them, that the sister reminding you, well, it's because you're an expert. It's normal. You're an expert because this kind of shit happens to you, and then you create all these tools, and then you make all this money, and then you can
exactly. Yeah, life is training you and initiating you constantly, right?
Right. Like there's this quote, I don't know who said it, and I think I hope I don't destroy it, but like, a good sailor became good not in easy waters.
Yes. Yeah. Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this work that we have chosen as coaches, mentors, healers, business women, it's going to bring it up.
Totally. Yeah,
it's going to bring it up. And we have to use our own medicine.
Yeah, but we don't do it alone either, right? So here's the sisterhood path and the support, looking for support and showing up and asking. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wonderful. Wow, that's enlightening, Monica. So I know you have your signature course and retreat, right?
Yeah.
So remind me the name of your
called it's Freedom to Be Me.
Freedom to Be Me, and it's on your website, right?
Yeah, it's on my website under my name, monicapelayo.com. Yeah. Wonderful. I have it's a 6-week course, and then I have a retreat, but I also have a one-on-one 2-hour just for if you need a quick, just a breakthrough and just know what shadow needs you the most and what gift have you been blocking the most. So this is more of a breaking the glass ceiling kind of deal. But like I said, this kind of work, I should sell myself better, but really you don't need, what you need is to, in the moment where you can embrace that you are a human, girl, you can rest a little bit. Doesn't it make you feel like,
oh yeah, my body goes like,
I am a human and I am allowed to
land in here.
Yeah, and you can make mistakes, and you could go on tangents, and you could not know it all, and you could be angry, and you could have all these emotions that a human being has without using you and you using it, and really start this dance, because it's all about a beat, right? You have your beat. It's like this beat, and then you have a sister and you're like, ooh, I like your beat. And so what we do is we make music together, right? And that's what we do in relationships. That's what we do in sex, right? We have different beats for certain things. And so the shadows really are an aspect of ourself that is saying, you're not even dancing. And you got an awesome beat.
Yeah. Or you're not listening to your own music. You're dancing someone else's music.
Right. Or you're dancing only your music and you're not open to other music. You're not making music. So the shadow really is one of your beats.
Nice.
And it's a beautiful one, and it's pissed off. because you're pissed off with it, and it's just like, please, I want to sing. You know, I want to make somebody's heart sing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Monica, so much. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your beautiful smile and your wisdom and the realness that you bring in all this. I love it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Mm,
Thank you so much.
Thank
Such an
you.
honor to be with you, really.
Yeah, wonderful. So thank you, ladies, for listening or watching. Depends what you have chosen. And more courageous conversations to be found here at samielcarolina.com. And yes, we continue in this magic life, human life on Earth. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank
Monica.
you.
Bye.